Aloha, my dragon family and friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome to a special edition. I didn't even title it this, but this is a special edition of Keeping It Real with Sheil. And I'm so stinking excited because you guys all know I am all about my dragon eggs and my dragons. And some of you may not know is that my dragons and dragon heads are actually called orgonite, and they help to counteract the effects of EMF. And that leads me to the whole reason why we are having this special edition. It is because I have a really good friend who is known as Dr. EMF. His name is Dr. Russ Kort. He is amazing. And I have asked him to come here today to talk to everybody about a crazy subject. It's called All the Bees in the Room. So without further ado, I am going to bring Dr. Kort onto the screen and let him say hello. Welcome, welcome, Dr. Kort. Aloha. How are you today?
Aloha. Sounds like I have
an echo.
Do you have an echo? I'm trying to see. Oh, there we go. And here we are. Oh my gosh. Look at that, Dr. Kort. It is going right live from StreamYard into Facebook.
Nice.
I did it. Technology.
I still have an echo.
Okay. Do you have your headphones in?
I do.
Because we don't have an echo from you. Okay. So that must be on your end. And
Test.
yes, check this out. Welcome. I know somebody's in the room watching with us. I bet it's Miss Star. If you are here, say hi. And I have this I've made this little banner, StreamYard.com, Facebook. If you cannot, if you want to chat with us, which we would love to do during this conversation, please go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. Let them access your name so that we know who's talking. Otherwise, we just see Facebook user, and that's not going to help us very much. Did you figure out your echo there, brother?
I unplugged. Can you still hear me? Do we have an echo now?
No, I don't have any echo. No.
Okay. Not the best thing for me to be unplugged, but we'll see how it goes. So you guys will get to watch me become functionally impaired.
Wow. Well, that's kind of what our topic is, isn't it? All those bees in our room.
All the bees in the room.
All right.
I feel like I should have more solutions, but we'll just talk and
we're going to see what happens here, right? All right. So I asked you to come because I know that so many people have not really a clear understanding of what the world that we are currently, that everybody on this planet is living in, is experiencing. So let's start with that. What's happening to us, Dr. Kort?
Well, first we got to kind of go back with how and why do I do what I do? So
okay, let's do that.
Let's start with I've been in medicine for 35 years. I started out in emergency medicine, and for 22 years I've been a chiropractor, and I've also I'm a board eligible functional neurologist. Let's just say I've been working in functional neurology since 2010. And about 6 years ago, I read a book a manuscript called Radiation Nation by Dan and Ryan DeBon. And in those pages, I realized that I'd actually been suffering from the symptoms of EMF for the last 25 years. And, the symptoms of ringing in your ears, brain fog, insomnia, depression, anxiety, heart agitation, pain. When I hold my electronics, my hands tingle, and I really hate holding it to my head. I don't like it at all. It makes my head hurt. And so I've tried all different kinds of things, all different kinds of phones, and temporary relief. And so I decided at that point about 6 years ago that I was going to dedicate my life to figuring out how to help people live in the world that they're in, because it's not turning down. Now, wind it a little bit back into the history books. In 1987, I actually brought cell phones into Australia, and I brought cordless, was working in the cordless phone industry, and then brought cell phones into it. And so I had a lot of exposure, but I don't think it's that. And so I have a team at DoctorEMF, a team of researchers and others that help me to just turn over every rock and figure out what's going on with us. So that's it kind of in a nutshell about me. And our company is called DoctorEMF. Look at that. You are so awesome. That is so cool. Yeah. So
Isn't that amazing?
I'm like blown away. So that is our company. And our company, we have a bunch of freeways, and freeways are ways that you can find out more about what's going on in our world and what we can do about it. So that's a little bit there, but let's go back even further. When we talk about EMF, a lot of people have heard of EMF and they know that it's electromagnetic fields, and they might think, oh, well, that's cell phones. No, it's not cell phones. It's, like you said, all the bees in the room. So we're looking at radio frequencies, low frequencies, high frequencies, Wi-Fi, and all the rest.
I have a question. Does this little microphone have it too? That's plugged into my computer?
Yeah.
I mean, everything that's electric has this field?
Well, we have to measure. So
okay.
I actually had some measuring devices, but there's a fault. They had dead batteries, and I couldn't find batteries. So I can't bring them and show them to you because they're not working right.
That's okay. Another time.
Another time. So things that are plugged in, like for instance, my laptop's plugged in, and see if I have enough energy in it. I do. If I unplug my laptop, that takes a field away from me. But I also need to unplug it in the wall. Mm-hmm. Because even though my laptop's not plugged in, if I took this cord and cut it and stuck it in water, it would have the same effect, which is one of the things that we have to talk about when we talk about creating a safe hygiene place for us to sleep. So let's start with, what is EMF? It's the electromagnetic fields. It's all the bees in the room. It's all the fields that are around us. And most people we can't see them. We can't touch them. We can't taste them. We can't feel them. We can't hear them. But some of us actually can feel them. I take that back. We can feel them. We're looking at about 100 million people, or a third of the population in the United States, actually has these symptoms of brain fog, anxiety, depression. It can be called the Havana syndrome, and pain, as well as like heart palpitations, headaches, migraines, itchy, scratchy, irritated eyes. These are all symptoms of your electronic environment. But when you go to the doctor, it's oftentimes misdiagnosed and misprescribed. I'll talk about that real quick.
Okay.
Because we're there. So 6 years ago, I lost my mom. It's actually next week is 6 or 7 years. And I thought I was having a heart attack when I came back home, and I was having lots of chest pain, arm pain, and thought, 10 years on emergency medical services, I pretty much knew what a heart attack was going to look like. And just like every good medical professional, I was not going to go to the hospital because that's the last place that I wanted to go. And that's what we learn about medical professionals. It's like they don't want to go there as a patient. So I called some of my friends and we're giving them my vital signs and so forth. And they're like, look, Dr. Kort, if you don't go, we're going to send an ambulance. So I dragged myself to the hospital and they did about 3.5, 4 hours of testing on me. And they did all these different tests and came back and said, it's stress. You're stressed. We found nothing. But we think that maybe you have some deficiencies, like maybe you have a Prilosec deficiency. So we'll prescribe Prilosec and we'll prescribe a statin because, clearly you could have a statin deficiency and well, absolutely. You'll have a nitroglycerin deficiency. So let's prescribe these drugs to you and you get to take your aspirins. And I don't even own an aspirin. So, I'm like, I don't have deficiencies in any of this stuff. So I went home and the symptoms continued. And then I decided to do an experiment. And I moved out and stayed in a tent in my driveway for a while and I felt better. And so what I found out later on was that it was because I was sleeping in the same room as the router. And most people don't even think about their router. But we're going to talk about the router here in a little bit. And that router was what was creating this chest pain and the arm pain and all the symptoms of a heart attack. But I wasn't having a heart attack. But it does affect you, and it affects you in a negative way. So I wanted to back up really quick and just talk about our history. And we can go back in electromagnetic fields, and we can go back all the way to the first text message. And the first text message, do you have any idea, Sheila, when the first text message was?
Maybe 92?
I would think that, wouldn't we? It was actually 1844.
Wow.
So the first text message was sent from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore, Maryland. And the first text message was, "What hath thou wrought?" Kind of interesting. We could throw an "Oh God" in there since nobody's around to tell us whether that's the truth or not. But oh, what have thou wrought, or "Oh God, what have thou wrought?" But the first text message was done on a telegraph. And so we started seeing in the 1850s, we started seeing people from the telegraph operators that were getting sick. And they called it electromagnetic sickness. And then in the late 1800s, and this is all in a book called The Invisible Rainbow.
I had no idea about that. That's phenomenal.
I'm not telling anybody anything that they don't know if they know about EMF and stuff. But
Right.
in the late 1800s, we have actual reports of AT&T creating a compensation plan for those people that are getting sick. And what's interesting is that this is actually more women than men. And a lot of women actually ran the telegraphs. But then we had illnesses in World War I that were associated with electromagnetic fields. We had illnesses in World War II, they called radio sickness. And then we had illnesses in Korea and Vietnam and, all the wars that we've had all the way up through, Gulf War syndrome and, post-traumatic stress and all these different disorders that we label, but we never take people out of the environment that made them sick in the first place. And so a few months ago, I was lecturing down in Camp Pendleton, and I was working with some Navy SEALs and some special ops guys. And it was really interesting because a lot of those people actually carry jammers on their backs. And so the jammers on their back and the antennas right by their noggin. And then some of the SEALs that I talked to carried satellite phones. And they told me that there's so much energy that comes out of the satellite phone that they could, I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what they told me. Maybe I'm just gullible. I haven't tried it. But you can put a hot dog on a sat phone and key the mic a few times and it'll cook the hot dog. And then I take care of some other people, pilots and things like that. And I was talking to a friend of mine that was the second in command of a frigate. And he was telling me about some of the antennas that they had to like wind up and get started. And if birds flew by, they just dropped dead and smoking. So we have all these crazy, crazy fields that are around us. And we've got about 100 million people that are sensitive to it, but don't understand why. And back in the 1800s, I like to tell this story because I grew up in Colorado. But, when the women would get sick with anxiety, depression, insomnia, they got really whiny, We
Not women.
seriously, I mean, I'm going to be a little sexist here, okay? But we as cowboys did what cowboys did, and we gave them barbiturates and alcohol, just to try and bring them back to being somewhat okay. And that's what we do today. Is we give our kids antidepressants, anxiety medications, melatonin, and we try and make them comply to a situation that they can't comply to because they're just looking at a symptom. They're not looking at the actual solution to the problem. And so we're really the tip of the spear on this one. And we've been working on what issues are we seeing and then how can we deal with it. And being a chiropractor is so great because I can't prescribe drugs and I can't do surgery. So I got to use what's up here. And that is my team, is we just don't stop thinking outside the box. So we've kind of gone through the problem. What is the problem? Well, the problem is it's all of it. And Ole Johansson, who is a PhD at the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, he's really the father of EMF, and he brought this to the world attention. And, you can just imagine that most people don't want to listen to him because I'm not anti-electronics.
Right.
I think electronics are cool and great. They just make me sick. So I have to limit my time with them and budget my time so that I can, operate in the world that we're in. But he said that in the last 10 years, this is a great question for you. Back it up. No child has been out of Wi-Fi in the last 25 years. So let's just go back 10. In the last 10 years, our we'll call it electric smog. It's all of it. Like you go to Denver and you can see the smog in Denver, the brown cloud, okay?
Right.
This is the electric smog, the number I'm looking for. What our electric fog has increased in the last 10 years. You got any ideas? How many times? That's the question. How many times has our electric smog increased in the last 10 years?
I'm going to say 1,000. I'm serious.
You might need to add a wild guess to that one.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. So it's huger. 1,000,000 times?
Here's the number by Dr. Ole Johansson.
Okay.
1 quintillion times. So
I'm in shock.
I know. I had to look up a quintillion. I had no idea. I never even heard the word before. So 1 quintillion times, that's a 1 with 18 zeros.
Wow. So I don't know if you can see the chat on your screen. Can you see the chat? There might be a way down at the bottom or on your right side that shows chat. And my friend Star from Alaska, she wrote, same, I love electronics, but not the untested EMF, right?
Yeah.
And I started buying crystals and other items to block EMF about 8 years ago. And just because she wrote that, I want people to know what is going on with our glasses.
Hold on,
Why are your glasses yellow? Is that Kaizen?
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Lawrence. I'm just on a Zoom call. What were you asking me about my glasses, hon?
Why Star wrote that she's been buying crystals and other things to block EMF. And I'm asking you, why do you have those glasses on and why would I have these on? Besides, I need them for reading, but there's more to it.
Yeah, so that goes, I'm getting off my one sheet here, dear. So
I'm sorry, but I just want them to know about your glasses.
Yeah, so this was, I love the company Defender Shield. And the reason I love the company Defender Shield, and I can send you a link to that. I don't know if I can do it.
That's defendershield.com, right?
Yeah, but we have a special link through DoctorEMF.
Okay.
Or they can mention DoctorEMF. I'll just tell them that if they mention DoctorEMF or put in DoctorEMF, here, I'll give it to you. I've had my phone off, so
Okay.
So I sit on the chair of the scientific advisory board for Defender Shield, and we have a group of top level scientists from all over the world that we work with to help people in the same situation. It's pretty cool. And so being the chair on this, I like the company because they do third-party testing on all of their products, and they like me because I come up with ideas to protect myself. One of the ideas that they had these glasses that were readers, and I really liked them, but I said, I'm carrying around 2-3 pairs of glasses. You got anything else? And then I thought, well, I want to come up with a clip that we can have, kind of like my dad had when he was young. I remember he had these glasses that went like this, and he'd walk around like this.
Yes.
And it was not hip. It was not hip at all to wear glasses like this. So I mentioned that to Dan DeBon, the owner, and I said, hey, you know what? I need glasses with a clip that have different shields to protect my eyes. And he came up with this idea, which is really cool. So these are actually my glasses. They're readers, and my eyes are getting stronger when I protect them from the screens. And then this is a 50% shield. And then I have 100% that I don't have on me. I have them in my truck that I wear at night. And that's 100% shield. But what's really cool about this is that, I don't know if you can see it, it's really thin and it's got a little magnet on it.
Yes.
So they just click on like this. Can't even.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So this protects my eyes. And when we're dealing with EMF, we really have to protect. Let me back it up a little bit. What is the problem? Let's go there. We'll go with the problem. Okay. So the problem is that we're not going to be able to turn down our electric environment. It's not going to happen. In fact, satellites are constantly going up. Towers are going up all over the place. When COVID first hit, I was the only one walking around. Everybody else was indoors, and I was out walking around at night. So they couldn't see me. But when I was walking around at night, I would see people putting up Wi-Fi towers, Wi-Fi hotspots, and things like that. And I watched a lot of them going up in schools, and that was really alarming. That they're like sneaking these things in on the rooftops and stuff like that. And I saw a lot of them go up. A lot of them go up in our town, and I had to be kind of quiet about it because I actually did post about this, and man, people came at me like crazy, including the city, and it was just nuts. But the bottom line is that our children are the most vulnerable. And if you think about it, our children, like I have a 19-year-old and a 15, almost 16-year-old, they've never been out of Wi-Fi. They've never been out of Wi-Fi. And I had this conversation the other day with someone, and she's like, oh no, we live off grid. My kids have been out of Wi-Fi. I'm like, you ever been to Walmart? How many people have a phone in Walmart?
Everyone, except maybe that lady that lives off grid.
So how many devices at Walmart run on Wi-Fi? How many people have 2 phones? And that's all the employees. And so when you start thinking about bees in the room, you've got to break it down. You've got to look at it with a different set of eyes, different set of glasses. Okay. And
so
go ahead.
So when I know you have more to say, but my next question will be, tell me about more of the bees in the room. Okay. What are they?
Okay. I was just trying to look at some of the things that, I'm seeing a lot of stuff about your product and other products that people have. And I really haven't subscribed much to shungite and all of those different things.
Mm-hmm.
Scientist. But the other day, actually, somebody gave me a rock of shungite, and I will have to say that I did feel a little different. And I'm pretty sensitive to this stuff. But I want to talk about your egg real quick.
Okay.
Number one, thank you. I'm so honored to have your egg in my park. Jet, who's amazing scientist. She got an egg as well, and we were so grateful. Yesterday was kind of a rough day. I don't know if anybody noticed this week. I don't know if it's just full moon or what, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was not the nicest person to be around, and that's one of the symptoms that I have, and so many people have, is severe irritability, and we can see that in our children. They can go from 0 to rabbit ass crazy in that fast.
Yes.
I used to look at my daughter when she was just throwing a huge temper tantrum, and I'd lay down on the floor with her and I'd look at her and go, "How's that working for you?" But I didn't realize that she was reacting to the router and to all
Oh,
the things that we had plugged in and the electric couch and all those things that she spent time on. And, these are the bees in the room that we're talking about. Getting back to your egg, I came home, I think it was last night, and I had been on a call on speaker, and speaker's really, really hard on me. Normally I wear these earbuds, but it was giving us an echo. So I had to go on speaker. It's really hard on me, and it affects my heart and makes my heart hurt. And so I went in the house and laid down for a minute, and I looked over at your eggs, and I grabbed it and I stuck it on my heart. Guess what?
and what happened?
Pain went away.
Woo!
So
Oh my gosh, I've got shivers up and down my body, Dr. Kort.
I
Yay.
just have to say that, I have to be open to things that work. I have the eggs next to my bed, but I didn't think of putting it on my heart, and it took the pain away. So we know what's going on with the heart. We know that there's an issue there, and I can't tell you much more about it because we're doing research on it, but these are the things that we see. So you asked me about all the bees in the room. It takes us a little quicker to where I wanted to go, but the solution to pollution is dilution. Unfortunately, that's the way we've operated for a long, long time. If you don't want the trash, put it in the can. Someone will come and pick it up, and away it goes. Problem solved. Not really. And it's true in the oceans. I mean, we know that about the oceans. We know that about the landfill. And, there's just not so many places to put the trash. So the solution to pollution is not dilution when it comes to EMF. The solution is time, distance, and shielding. Okay. So the amount of time that you spend on your products is really, really important. We call that time restricted electronics, or trees. Okay. So we have time restricted electronics, which means, there's a time where I have to just keep my phone off, though I was going to send you the Defender Shield, link for us.
Oh, right.
Let me find that real quick.
I'm taking notes because you know me, I'm always writing. I'm just a giant sponge for knowledge and information. And I love that you are willing to share yours with all of us.
Yes, I'm pleased to do that. So that I don't distract from the call, just go to DoctorEMF.com, and you'll be able to get a link to Defender Shield through us. And I think there's some discounts associated with that. But just go there, and it's like a DoctorEMF /Defender Shield. Like I said, I like the products because they do third-party testing. So I didn't bring my favorite products with me. I thought I was going to go home, and I'm at my office. So I can just tell you some of my favorite products that I use. One of the products I use to get distance from my cell phone are these earbuds, and it's an air tube. And so instead of having a wire that goes into my brain, it's an air tube that goes into my brain. And a lot of people get all cranky about, oh, you're just trying to sell stuff. No, I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to help people. This is not about selling stuff. This is about protecting you
Well,
and giving you solutions.
let's talk, since you're on the earbuds real quickly. One of the things that I discovered when I very first ever got a cell phone that was a computer, okay, because that's really what they are, right? Little tiny computers we hold in our hands. I'm the kind of girl, yeah, that. And I went into the settings and just started reading and reading all that stuff. And if you really are a critical thinker like me and go down rabbit holes, you will find out that they say you're only supposed to have that phone like here. But we put those earbuds that are from iPhone that are Wi-Fi right into our ear holes that are either on side of our brain. What's that doing to us?
It's such a good question. As I talk to people all over the world about technology, people are addicted to their technology. We're old enough, or at least I'm old enough, that, I remember Atari and Pong was like really cool. And now the stuff that's out there, I can't even play it, Our world has changed so much in the last 25, 30 years. And one of the constants is cell phones. So when I brought cell phones into Australia, we had this phone that was fit on your shoulder, and it was a big giant battery, and it had a handset on it. And it was the greatest communication device known to man. And it was $3,000
Excuse me.
for this giant 3.5-pound phone that we carried around with us. And there was a lot of energy created from that. But the big problem was there's nobody to call because nobody had phones. So I just walked around trying to look cool, and holding it up to my head like I was talking to somebody important. But I was really just trying to save money because they get charged by the minute. And it was a lot to talk on the phone back then, so I just walk around like doing deals and stuff, and there was no dial tone or anything. And then
I love you. I'm really laughing too. My sister-in-law is watching right now, and I'm just, as you're describing this big phone, I'm remembering my father-in-law, her dad, when he got the first cell phone, and it was like a stinking shoebox thing, right? I mean, like huge.
Yeah, it was like the one that Zach carried from Saved by the Bell, that big one with the battery on it and the antenna. I actually found one in the trash not long ago, and my dog ate the antenna. I'm like, how do you do this? So I've got this phone with a spring now. But, it's funny that you would bring that up because I brought cell phones into Australia in 1987 with some mates, but in 1994 is actually when the standard for cell phones was established. 1994. I'm trying to see if I have a picture of this phone that I was talking about. 1994, the standard for specific absorption rate of the cell phone was done on a 200-pound Marine. And they put the phone up to his head and they said, okay, it's this number. And I can't remember it exactly, so I'm not going to quote it.
Okay.
In kilograms of tissue. But it was a guy like my size. And since 1994, actually, I think it's 1996. I apologize. It was 1996, not 1994, 1996. Because people will call me on that. So it was 1996. Since then, they've never updated it.
So you're telling me that with all the changes and permutations that cell phones have undergone, they've never shifted the standard?
No. So the standard
Wow.
absorption rate has not been changed since 1996. And I know I've got this picture close by. I can't find it.
Untested, Star says. That's right, Star.
This is the
Fantastic.
phone that I used to sell.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So that's what we used to carry around to look cool. Um, and that was a $3,000 phone back then. So the
That's
standards.
like, I'm sorry. Real quick, I'm having another flash with my friend Star. That looks like what we would use in Alaska when you drive over the top of the World Highway in the middle of the winter using a satellite phone for safety on a poker run with all these 200 snow machiners.
So, so
Okay.
we're looking at, it hasn't changed since 1996. Okay. So now here's the important thing. And this is really, really important. This phone, and it's not the most powerful of the phones, but this phone and all the phones that are like, iPhone 8 and up, and the same with Samsungs, they are 700 times the radiation output as what was established in 1996 as the maximum standard for a 200-pound man.
Oh my gosh.
700 times the radiation output. So here's where this gets to. Okay. So this is where the tire meets the road. And I'm the kind of guy who like really looks at things and goes, okay, how do I make this work? So I'm thinking, this can't be good. We have a hole right in here and one in here, one there and two there. And we put this radiation device that's 700 times the radiation output that was considered the maximum standard in 1996. And we put it against our brain. And you're right. You're supposed to be held 20 millimeters from your head, but you're not supposed to hold it either. That makes no sense. So we stick this against our coconut. And I mean, if I put this against my coconut and stick it in my ear and just go, that's a bad day. But put this against our coconut all the time. And there's a hole, and the hole goes to your brainstem. And we have 12 cranial nerves that come out of the brainstem, and that is the show. Without the cranial nerves, those 12 pairs of nerves, the show's over. You cease to exist. Okay. And a lot of them have to do with the eyes, with balance. I mean, it runs the entire program called human. Injure the brainstem, you're done. But we'll stick this against the brainstem. That makes no sense to me. And for me, back in 1992, when I guess it was 99, I really started feeling the electrical environment. So I was like, this makes my head hurt. So instead, I'll just talk on it like this on speakerphone. Well, hello, you're pointing it at the thyroid. That's not a good idea. And we've watched Hashimoto's go. We've watched brain cancers that were old people cancers, go.
Right.
So then people go, well, I don't do this. I don't point it at my throat because it makes my throat hurt. Instead, I'll just hold it like this and point it at my heart. That's not a good idea. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just text. And
All right. So we're holding.
So I'm going to point it at my reproductive organs? That doesn't make any sense either. And then we take it a step further, and we've made these things so small now that dudes, boys, put it in their front pocket. Okay. I mean, I'm the dad of a 19-year-old boy, and I'm like, dude, you cannot put that in your front pocket,
Not if you want to have your own children.
You're going to cook the giblets, and it's not a good idea to cook the giblets. And then girls put it in their back pocket. And, we have ovaries, girls do ovaries and other things. And when I talk to people my age, they go, oh, well, I don't need that anymore. I'm like, okay. But there's lots of different kinds of cancers. You have erectile dysfunction, which is like huge. I get calls all the time from Utah because people are having issues with erectile dysfunction and they don't know why. And then, so we have erectile dysfunction in men. We have, penile cancer, testicular cancer, bladder cancer, rectal cancer, stomach cancer, bowel cancer, all these different kinds of cancers. So that's not a place to put your phone in your front pocket. And then with women, we're seeing tumors in the hips. We're seeing ovarian cancer. We're seeing cervical cancer at a rate that we've never seen before. We're seeing uterine cancer, bladder cancer, bowel, rectal, all these different kinds of cancers are on the rise. And that's not my realm. I don't deal in that, but I just read the literature and it's like everything is on the rise and nobody can figure out why. Makes you kind of go, doesn't it?
Right?
So we have to have time restricted electronics. And we also have to protect ourselves. So we have time, distance, and shielding. So time restricted electronics. You don't always have to be on this. We have to sometimes push it away, like pushing away the soda pop, or pushing away the candy, or pushing away the time on your laptop, going on games and things like that. We're grown-ups, but we also have to explain to our children that they can't do it either. That we have to have some time restricted electronics. And then distance. So distance, one of the things that we can do with distance is, for instance, using the earbuds. And I think we should do another call at some point because I have earbuds that actually fit over the ears for autistic kids, and they're incredible. And I use them a lot to talk on, but like I said, I didn't get home. So distance is really simple. Here's my phone. And I can take this that far away from me. So if it's 3 or 4 feet away from me, I'm not getting that radiation from my phone. And I'm speaking on an air tube. It's not putting a wire into my brain. And then let's talk about those little Scooby-Doos that we stick in the little white ones that we put in our ears. I have a problem with those because in order to run stereo, they don't go over the coconut. They go through the coconut. And when they go through the coconut, that's where the brainstem is. Okay. That's where those 12 cranial nerves are found. And that's a big problem. It's a really big problem. So we have to watch out what we put in our heads.
So they're actually sending Wi-Fi signal through our brain?
Yeah. And then shielding.
Isn't that special?
This is another option. So this is a case that, lots of companies have cases. This case, I get it from Defender Shield, and it has been third-party tested to greatly reduce the amount of radiation that goes into our head. For me, I can hold it for a little while, but most of the time, it makes my hands burn. I'm not really that keen on having this thing in my hand, in my body, on my body.
Okay, so see the little dragonfly thing?
Yeah.
My friend Joe wrote, you need a phone egg to protect you. That's organite. That's just like the eggs I sent you for phones, because I don't like to hold a phone either. And something that I noticed that is very interesting, I don't like the phones, they get hot, right? And that's that whole radiation energy that they're putting off. And when I have the little piece on there, you don't feel that heat as much. And so shielding is, my neighbor, I was talking to him yesterday, Dr. Kort, and I said, see, he's the guy that got the big power box, underground box in his front yard. And I was telling him about our conversation that we're having today. And he asked if you have a blanket he could put over the power box. And I said, there probably is.
Yeah. I mean, that is one of the things that, we have to do. So I'm in a new office for a couple of quarters, helping a guy to create an EMF clinic, like the one that I had. And one of the issues that we have is the building that I'm in, it's got lots and lots of other offices. And so there's 32 Wi-Fi signals going into this office that come up on my phone. So we have to go good, better, best. And we have to try and shield ourselves from those things. So, for instance, I have, I found some of the reflective bubble wrap and things like that you can get at Home Depot, and you can kind of make yourself a shield. I had to do that with one of my computers and actually shield myself from the tower. Those things help. I actually don't know on on what to do about that. There's some measuring devices that are out there, and if you just Google EMF measuring devices, there's lots of people that have that, and you have to find out what's coming out of that. But more importantly, you have to find out what's in your own home, because
Okay.
that's where a lot of these toxins take place. So we talk about time, distance, and shielding. Okay. We've talked about time, how much time we spend on our electronics, and giving ourselves a break. A really important thing is to not look at your phone last thing at night. This is part of our sleep hygiene program, and we have a whole program that we have on DoctorEMF. But part of this sleep hygiene is not to look at our phone last thing at night. Do you have any idea why?
I'm going to say because it keeps you awake. Because that's what it does to me. It wakes me up. It's like my brain says, "Bird."
That's exactly right. So if we go back to the time, in the 80s when we didn't have cell phones, and early 80s, and we didn't have these big, powerful screens, we'd go to bed, it might get dark, maybe we'd watch the news or something, and then we'd go to bed. But if we go back even further to a time when we didn't have televisions, then we'd go to bed shortly after it got dark and we got the dishes done, and we get up when we heard the rooster crow. It's not the case now. And so when we look at the phone, our brains, especially our eyes, which are run by the brainstem, when we see the blue light, it goes back into our brain to the pineal gland, and the brain goes, morning. And we're up for another 12 hours. We call this the circadian clock. And we actually have on our freeways on the website, I keep going back there because that's where all my tools are. But we have a circadian rhythm app that you can download, and you can work on your time restricted eating and your time restricted electronics. And so if we look at our phone last thing at night, our brain says morning, and then we don't produce melatonin for up to 4 hours.
Wow.
So if you go to bed at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning after surfing on your phone and going down any one of the vortexes, my vortex, I'm just like everybody else. Okay. So I got the YouTube vortex. I'm going to be dumping the Facebook vortex and the Messenger vortex. But then I've got, the Telegram vortex and the Instagram vortex. And these vortexes, you can burn a whole crap ton of time just by scrolling and going through and reading and so forth. And all of a sudden you look at it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and then you're going to try and get restorative sleep. It's not going
to happen, is it? No.
And this melatonin is really important for, being able to put the brain into restorative sleep so that we can recover.
So what's recommended based on that information? If I plan to go to bed at 10, what would you say would be a good back off time from the phone?
Probably 8 or 9.
Okay. All right. So it's not the 4-hour window. I was like, oh God, please don't let him say 4 hours. Because that's a challenge for all of us, but I'd still work on it.
So, that brings us up to a really interesting work. I've taken my one sheet and gone, which my staff be like,
you need to learn that with me, Dr. Russ. I'm just like, I'm all over the board. I'm a raven. I'm a fairy.
Yeah,
I see a sparkly thing.
Throw away the one sheet. No, I'm still keeping an eye on the one sheet. But that's sleep time is really, really important. And I've actually just finished a certificate in sleep, and I sit on a board. I'm part of a faculty of a chiropractic sleep collaborative, where chiropractors and dentists are teaming up to help people get restorative sleep, which is going to take me back from the time that I brought cell phones into Australia to being a child. This is a really important thing. And again, it's in our website to look at this, but we have a sleep package where we help people to get restorative sleep through a bunch of different ways of doing it. But what I found when I started digging around trying to figure out why I was hypersensitive, one of the things has to do with childhood snoring. And I was a childhood snorer. And it wasn't
Wow.
until I was going through all the coursework that I realized, oh, I have been snoring my whole life. Well, this goes to a part in our research of the cell danger response. And the cell danger response is actually Robert Navio's work, and it's about every cell that has a mitochondria in it has an emotional component, and this emotional sensor senses, am I safe? And it's separate from the brain. So let's think about this for a second. If, let's say I'm snoring is a sound, but what it is it's sleep suffocation. Okay. So do this with me. I want you to take your jaw and jet your chin out so that your teeth are okay, and breathe. That works pretty good. Go like this and just push your chin back as far as you can.
Oh my God, I just snored.
Right. Now let's think about this.
I don't even want to do that.
So we actually see this in children. We can pick this up in children. I can tell in children because they have this forward head posture, because it's like a little turtle, because they're suffocating at night. And if they bring their neck forward, they can breathe. And so you can see this in the kids that are having trouble breathing. We see it in the kids. The reason I sit on the faculty as a chiropractor is because a lot of kids stand like this or like this, and they think, oh, look at Dr. Kort's so cute because he's got his head tilted. Yep. I came out of the chute. They pulled me by my head and they misaligned my neck at the base of my skull. Now, if we go to the dentist, my jaw, if my head's like this, my jaw's not going to hang straight. And
Right.
then the dentist is going to fix my jaw, okay, and bring it straight, but my head's still not straight. So now it's going to create an occlusion. Then if you find that chiropractor that can put your head on straight, now your jaw's not going to be straight again.
Oh my God.
And it's going to create a massive problem. So what we're trying to teach the world of chiropractic is to fix the neck, and that a lot of these misalignments, this is the chicken and the egg. We get to take care of them. They have a spine before they have teeth. So it's the chiropractor first who fixes the neck, and then we fix the jaw. But in our children, most people put their kids to sleep and they don't listen. And in children, it's kind of really quiet. It's like,
Yes.
okay, so I'm going to forward you. So when we snore, the back of our throat has this like just skin, and it vibrates. And the more it vibrates, the looser it gets, kind of like the tarp in the back of a truck. And the looser it gets, then you have this obstruction in the back of your throat. And so what we're trying to do through the Chiropractic Dental Sleep Collaborative is to put people in a guard that brings their jaw forward so they can breathe quietly at night and get restorative sleep. In addition to that, we need to put the phone away. So you don't want to sleep with this thing next to you on your nightstand.
Nope, we don't do that anymore.
Plugged in and charging. Okay, so when we talked about earlier about all the bees in the room, if I'm sleeping in an electric bed, like a sleep number bed,
Oh.
you think that might be a problem?
Oh my gosh.
Do you have one?
No.
If you're sleeping in a sleep number bed, we're plugged into the house and we're a part of the circuit. Okay, so unplug the bed. And then when we've got the lamp next to us, we've got voltage that goes into the lamp, even though the lamp is off. Like I said, if you cut the cord and put it in water, it's going to be shocking. And that's because it's still plugged into the wall. So you have to unplug the lamp. And then you have to not have the phone there. You have to have the phone 10, 12 feet away, plugged in somewhere down there, but not right on us. And then we think about, well, you live in Hawaii. So fans. Gets hot there. So you have a fan, and you might have a fan just really close to you, but that's a motor that's
So right
turning
above the bed.
right above the bed. And so that
Oh my
motor
God,
puts
I used
out
to
a
have one
dirty
in my bed.
electricity. That motor puts out a dirty electricity called Gauss. And the important thing with Gauss is that motor is probably about 70 volts or 70 Gauss. I don't know. I'd have to measure it. But
Okay.
that it's plugged in, so it's putting out a voltage. And it's also creating, there's a motor in it, so it's creating a dirty electricity. They call it dirty electricity, but there's no dirty electricity. It's all different kinds. So, or let me say, I don't like the term dirty electricity. It's all electricity. And so that Gauss puts out a voltage. Interestingly, I stood under some high tension power lines to see what the Gauss was. And it's been a while. I'll have to go do it again to remember what it was. I want to say it was like 23 Gauss, and that's anything over 1 is really bad. So then I measured a CPAP machine, and the CPAP machine was 28 or 30 Gauss. So your CPAP machine that's next to your head is worse than standing under power lines.
It's crazy because my husband has slept with a CPAP machine since 1994. And he was the person that would fall asleep driving because he couldn't stay awake ever. We would go snow machining and we would try to drive 10 miles back to home. He would fall asleep and we'd pull over on the side of the road.
For a second. Let's talk about that for a second. How long ago was that?
94.
Okay. So did you guys have cell phones or sat phones?
Yes, we did. We did have cell phones.
So I was having a conversation. I do a lot of work with people. Telemedicine is, we have telemedicine for people that are in my state and telehealth for people that we help outside of our state. And then we team up with their doctor so that everything is all cool. And on our website, on that DoctorEMF website, that's all HIPAA compliant. So
okay,
we're all cool there. But I was talking with somebody in Utah, and I had said to them, I don't know if you've been to Utah recently, but in Utah, they have a lot of these signs that say, if you've been in an accident, call 1-800-GET-A-LAWYER, or get it, sick it to them. And then they have smaller signs that are about the size of my clipboard that say, if you're falling asleep at the wheel, don't fight it, pull over. Now let's think about this for a second. Why? You brought up the best thing, Sheila. So one of the things that happens with me in Wi-Fi or Wi-Fried, I saw Joe talk about it. Yes, Joe, I do call it Wi-Fried. So, one of the things that happens to me, if there's too many bees in the room, I fall asleep. So let me ask you about your husband. How good was he at watching movies?
Yeah, he loved to watch.
Could he stay awake for the whole movie?
Never, not back then.
Never. Okay. So what's happening is that we're suffocating at night, which is creating this cell danger response. And it's suffocation. Snoring is like this. Take and put your hands and start to choke yourself all night long. And I'm getting red. When you wake up in the morning, you feel like you've had restorative sleep. I don't think
no. Look at how red you are.
And then we go to school or to work where we have 35 Wi-Fi signals and our body is like, dude, man, this is not working for me. And one of the things that we do when we go into shock and we're exposed to too much electricity, too much of all the bees in the room, is the lights go out. So in Utah, if we have a 12-passenger van and it's full, how many passengers have a phone?
11. Well, 12 have the phone, but 11 are on them, and one hopefully is driving.
With GPS. Right? He's probably got a phone with GPS, or maybe he's just trying to tune everybody else out. So maybe he has his wireless earbuds in his ears. And then he has 11 other phones that are all competing for a Wi-Fi signal. And all these phones are both transmitting and receiving. So you have 12 different devices. So it only takes about 3 devices to put me out. And so when we're thinking about your husband driving on the road, you guys had a sat phone, which puts out a tremendous amount of radiation. Okay. And I don't know which one it is, whether it's RF or LF, and I don't know, but it puts out a ton. And then you got the radio on, and then maybe you have some other electronics going on. And these are the things that we're starting to see in people, is that they're becoming overwhelmed from all the bees in the room.
You know what else, Dr. Russ? That was when we owned our McDonald's, and we were literally a new generation. It was like we helped roll that out into the McDonald's system. And we were, it was like, we're so cool. Oh my God. Not only were we poisoning people with food, we were poisoning my employees. Oh my God. I'm in shock.
You just had an aha moment, didn't you?
I did. And that was, it all contributed to his hypoxia. Yes. Right. I mean, because all that's around him 24 hours a day. Not
right.
We were, the thing about McDonald's is they were built with metal walls.
Right.
So it's like a freaking Faraday cage in there.
Right. And the same is true in the 11-passenger van. And the same is true for our truckers. So our truckers, they've got a refrigerator in the truck. They have usually a satellite radio in the truck. They have a regular CB radio in the truck. They have their cell phone in the truck. They have their wireless headphones on in the truck. And they got all these electronics going on in their vehicle. And then the vehicles, like look at some of these electric vehicles and stuff that have a big, huge, giant screen that's like bigger than the laptop that I'm on right now. That's right there all the time. As I'm doing research, I'm finding that kids just hate them. They're miserable in them. They feel it first because our children are most vulnerable. So let's back this thing up, because we've already gone to our
right. I was gonna say
Well, if people want us to stay on for a little longer, I have a little bit more time, so we can do that.
Yes,
is that
thank
good?
you.
You want to do that?
I'd love to.
All right. So we have to look at our room. We have to look at our bedrooms, and we have a program to help people to understand, and we have devices to be able to measure the bedroom. We have lots of videos on our site. In fact, Ryan, my assistant, just did a video on one of our partners that's called EMF Safe Sleep, and you can get a link on the website for that. And we have a switch that shuts all the electricity off in your bedrooms. And it was really cool because Ryan was holding our body voltage kit, and it was showing like 2.5 volts. Anything over 0.01 is toxic to the brain during sleep. And he's holding this, and then he's like, check this out. And he goes, click, and it went to 0 because he shut the electricity off at the circuit breaker with a fob, which is super, super cool. And it makes things really easy, especially when you can shut the kids' bedrooms off and there's just no electricity in the bedroom, So we have
Which
to.
is okay if you don't live in Alaska where it's 45 below zero. Just say it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we have to do it within reason, right? We don't have all the answers, but we never stop flipping rocks to try and find more answers, So there are things that we can do. And a lot of it is just distancing yourself when you're trying to sleep from your electronics. Don't have the thing next to you.
No.
The thing next to you. And then think about this. I did a talk in an Alzheimer's summit, and it was, why do you have Granny in the electric chair? And I mean, think about this. Our most vulnerable are our aged and our children. Okay. So our aged, we sit them in an electric chair to get them up because they can't get their butts out of the chair. So we put them in an electric chair, and let's say that's like 45 volts. What do we know about the electric chair? Like, it always worked, right? Nobody adapted to it.
It always worked.
It never worked. It was always worked. It's like, I know I'm on death row, but I've been working on it, and I'm going to adapt to this. It's not going to work on me. Yeah, it worked.
Oops.
So we just got to suck the life out of Granny and Grandpa slowly. And what do Grandma and Grandpa do when they're sitting in the electric chair? They're sitting in the electric chair, and then they've got their halogen lamp, which is crazy.
They fall asleep.
Yeah. Are they asleep, or is their brain in shock? And are they hypoxic?
They're not asleep anymore. Now I know.
Okay. When I become hypoxic and my brain shuts down, I can hear, but I can't wake up. And the crazy thing is, when you shut the router off, all of a sudden I'm like, did I miss a movie? And
Wow.
it's really an amazing thing. I mean, it's kind of like a spider. I like to call it spidey senses, but it's honestly, the router to me is like kryptonite, which brings me to my next point of shutting the router off at night. It's a must. It is absolutely a must. And I have people who say, no, I can't do it. And it's like, well, your dog is affected. Your children are affected. Everyone in the house is affected. You have to shut the router off at night. It's really important.
I don't understand why people couldn't do it. I mean, you and I have been having these conversations for 3, 4 weeks now. And after our first call that we did with LifeWave, I told my husband we're turning that Wi-Fi off at night, and he was like, "Okay, whatever." And honestly, he's the one who does it. I'm like, "Damn it! Why is my phone not working in the morning?"
Well,
And then it's like, oh, he's turning off the Wi-Fi. So he has just totally started that. And Brooke, my friend Brooke, just wrote, I've been feeling so tired
yeah,
recently, and it's
I
just like
just saw
night
that.
me.
Yeah. So again, here's the best gift I can give you. Okay. And you don't
Okay.
have to come to me and come to where I live in Oregon. We have lots of ways, and most of them are pretty inexpensive, but we have a discovery call on our website. And so go to the website, book a discovery call. You're going to speak to Jet. And there's a reason we call her Jet, because she is like a rocket. She is so crazy, crazy, crazy smart. She's a biochemist. She has a master's in environmental policy and procedures. She's worked at some of the worst nuclear places for storage of chemicals and nuclear stuff. I mean, this girl has so much knowledge, and she never stops working and turning over rocks to make me look good, because she's the one who's finding out all these things. And then she's like, okay, DK, how do you make this work in the brain? What can we do to help people? And so we never stop turning over these rocks. So the discovery call is with Jet, and she is brilliant. And then she will give you some ideas, and she'll give me those ideas, and then we'll come up with some ways to help people, which is really, I think, what people are looking for is, what can we do? What can we do to start to protect ourselves? And we've talked about a lot of them on this call. Time, distance, and shielding, that's pretty easy. Shutting the router off at night, that's pretty easy. Unplugging the bed, that's easy. I'm talking on my laptop and I still have some energy. It's unplugged, so now it's on battery, so I'm not getting the voltage from the laptop. That's easy. Phone's off unless I need it, or on airplane mode, and it's in a case, and I use the wired headset. And this is super important. These glasses are critical because our eyes have not changed in thousands of years. The thing that's changed is what we're staring at. And what we're
That's right.
staring at is affecting our brain. And that's our next research, is how this is going on and what's happening with our brain. And we have some other things that are really, really cool for restorative sleep. Restorative sleep is imperative. If you don't get restorative sleep, the rest of it, you're on an inflammation road that you don't want to be on. And so we look at how can we decrease inflammation in the body. And we actually have a really cool test, treat, test product. We test, we send it to you. I don't do it. We send the test kit to you, prick your finger, bleed on the piece of paper, send it in. We get a score. And then we have a product that we send with it. And so effective is this product that we are importing from Peru. So effective is this product that in 2 months, we can take the needle from very, very high risk of like a fatal heart attack or stroke, and we can kick it to this end where you have no inflammation markers. And we can do it in
Wow.
2 months. And I think it's like $375 for the whole thing, 2 tests. So you test, you take the product for 2 months, and then you retest, and we show how much different it is. And I mean, I'm on the product for the rest of my life. I feel amazing because inflammation is what we call inflammaging. So that's one thing that you can do, and that's a great start. And then what do we do about our bedroom, you know? Well, most people don't know if they snore. I have a solution for that, and it's free, and it's on our link, okay? And it's called the Snore Lab, and it's on our website, and you can link to it, and you get the app to do it. It's a free app on your phone. Here's where it gets gray because I'm like, don't have your phone near your bed, but for this test, you have to. You have it on airplane mode, and it measures your snoring through the night, and then you simply take a screenshot and send it to me or to the team, and then they give it to me. And if it's within a certain range that I feel like, oh, we need to go a little deeper into this, then we have the ability to do a 7-day FDA-approved sleep study at home.
Wow.
We send you the equipment, and we do a 7-day study, and we actually do it over the course of, I think we're going to do it over 2. I'm not sure if we're going to do it 1 month or 2 months. We're kind of juggling that right now, but
Okay.
You get 7 tests with this product, and it's not expensive at all. And we do some things to see what is it that we can do to make your sleep better. And from the sleep study, if we still need to improve the sleep, then and if there's a lot of snoring and problems during the night in getting into REM sleep and to our other sleep parameters, then we might have to check out in your town, where's the dentist that can create a mouth guard for you? And then that's separate. I don't bill for that.
So you have the steps that can be looked at, and you start first with this and go through that. Okay, so
it's good and we have other really cool stuff that I do. Like when I go to bed, I tell you what, I do not look this handsome when I go to bed. I'm wearing stuff to protect my noggin. I'm wearing stuff to protect my ears. I'm wearing stuff to cover my heart so that my heart is safe in the environment I'm in. My eyes, all this stuff, but it's all on the website. So it's all part of that sleep program.
That program. So I would like to shift gears a wee bit to talk about what I have been taking now for a while. And I'm really super excited because you introduced me to this. And I got to tell you, I feel different. I totally feel different. And it's not just I feel different with the accumulative effects. Once I take this product, I feel different. Within 20 minutes, I have a flush go through my body of energy. And like, it's not like energy, but it's just like this flush, like, whew, it's amazing. Please go into this now.
Okay. Well, here it is. This product is called Micro Daily EMF formula. Now, it started with this guy, which I'll show him on the phone. Can you see this guy? Whoops. All right.
Yes, Dr. Prasad.
The Dr. Prasad is my hero. I mean, like, really, really, truly my hero. I got introduced to this product when my mom died, and it used to be called Military Micronutrient Formula. And I got introduced to it just a couple of days before my mom went into a coma, and I had to get back to Colorado. And so, long story short, I was with her when I got there. She was in a coma. Told her I was there. She woke up. She was just like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to see you!" And everybody was totally crapping themselves. They were like, "Oh my God, she woke up!" And I had her for about 12 hours, and then she slipped away. And the whole trip, I was awake for 3 days. And we know that if we're awake for 3 days, you can go cuckoo, cuckoo. I mean, the noggin does not like that. And the only thing that I was doing was I was taking these military formula like over and over and over all day long. I was just chewing them. And I didn't have any of the stress that the other people that were there with me had. They were all going out of their noggins, and I was just cool, calm, and collected. And I'm like, what is this stuff? So we got to talk a little bit what it is and why I put it in my body and why it's
Yes.
for you to put it in your body, because it's time, distance, and shielding. That's the big one. And then we have to protect ourselves from the inside out as well as the outside in. Okay. So the outside in is a different conversation, and that's the patch, the LifeWave patch. Criminy, I don't have mine on. I left early. I was on a call this morning at 5, so I left early.
Mine's on my belly button today. I'm not pulling up my dress.
So the X39 actually turns on our body's own stem cells and protects us from the outside in. And I love that product. I really, really love that product.
Saved my life.
It's something that, I'm a little bummed that I'm sitting here and I'm not protected, but what are we going to do about it? So I got to go back into Dr. Prasad a little bit. So Dr. Prasad, I don't want to go into too much of the story because it's kind of long. It's another time. But basically, he was alive when Nagasaki and Hiroshima happened, and he grew up. I'll just tell a story. He grew up. He was in seventh grade, and he was completely illiterate. Most people don't know that, but I know him really well, and he wouldn't mind me telling this story. So his father got him 4 tutors, and he had a tutor in English, math, science, and Sanskrit and Farsi. And from that, he went to high school. And when he graduated from high school, he was number 1. And then he went to college, and from illiterate, not able to read or write,
and he's in India. I don't know if
India. Yeah, he's in India. Yeah, he grew up in India, and he grew up kind of slumdog millionaire. He grew up fighting kites and hanging in the trash heaps, So he went to college and he graduated number 1 in college, and then he wanted to get his PhD, and they wouldn't let him get his PhD because he was from the wrong clan. So then he went to the United States, and you can imagine this guy. He's a little Indian, and he's in a 2-piece suit, and he lands in New York in January, and he's like, "Oh, golly, it's very cold here. I tell you, I'm not used to this kind of cold." And so this guy, this was in 1960, and 1959, 1960, this guy gives him a World War II PT coat, like a Navy PT coat, just gives it to him. And Dr. Prasad is like, "Oh, Dr. Kort, I tell you, this coat was too long for me. And as I'm dragging it through the snow, it's collecting snowballs, and I can getting slower and slower because the coat's getting too heavy." But I did it. And then he got on a bus and he went to Iowa, and Iowa's even worse than New York in January. And he started a PhD program, and he became the world's first PhD radiological biologist. Yeah, biological radiologist. I'm starting to have a little hard time thinking because I've been sitting in front of this for a while.
Yeah.
You'll see some of that in my tempo, that I'm getting a little bit.
It's shifted just a wee bit.
Yeah, trying to remember this thing. So he's the first PhD radiological biologist, and he graduated in 3 years, number 1 in his class, and it was a 7-year program.
Wow.
He graduated in half the time. And then he went on to teach at the University of Colorado in Boulder. And this formula that he created the formula because he wanted to protect people from radiation. And I hope that we still have a bunch of people. I can't tell how many people
we have 4. We hit 7, and now we still have 4 people listening. Yes.
So hopefully
and lots of people are going to watch the replay. A lot of people watch my replays. So
well, stay on this, folks. Stay with me because this is really important. So he was really good friends with Linus Pauling. He sat on the Nobel Prize nominating committee. He's written 29 textbooks in his lifetime, and he's published somewhere around 280 peer-reviewed papers. He just published a paper the other day on vaping and the fact that 1 bowl of vaping oil is equivalent to smoking a pack of cigarettes. And the guy just never stops, right? He's 88 years old, and he's still publishing papers. We talk to him on a regular basis. and he's just incredible. But he was on his way. This is really important. He was on his way to the towers when 9/11 happened, and he watched the towers come down from the San Francisco airport, and he's like, "Oh golly, I don't think we're going to have our meeting today. It looks like the office building is gone."
My God.
Seriously. And so 2 months later, he's in Washington, D.C. He gets a phone call, and he gets asked to go to Quantico that night and have a meeting with some generals from Russia and America and some three-letter guys. And they gave him a formula, and they said, "Hey, we want to know if your formula is better than this." And he's like, "Oh yeah, my formula is better than this." And they said, "Well, why?" And he goes, "Well, because my formula has vitamin E succinate in it, and that crosses the blood-brain barrier. And so my formula is better than your formula." And so they said, "Well, do you have any studies on this?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, I got this really cool fly study. I gave flies," and this is how Dr. Prasad thinks, right? He's like, hang on just one second. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, I'll probably still be here. I'm going to try and finish this up in a little bit, but thank you. So, sorry. So he says, "Oh yeah, I got this really cool fly study. I gave flies, genetically modified them to get lymphocytic leukemia when I expose them to proton radiation." I'm like,
Who thinks of that?
who does that? And he's like, "Oh yeah, but when I gave the flies my formula, they never got the cancer." And so, I mean, that was pretty big. It was the first time it's ever been done in an animal study. So long story short, Dr. Prasad is given a pass to go to Congress and the House and the Senate and Judiciary and whoever would listen to him lecture about his formula, he talked to. And on the 17th time, he was given $12.5 million.
Wow.
Him, for his research, was given $12.5 million. And then he got another $12.5 million in private funding. And so with $25 million, he put together a team with the Navy and Navy, Marines, NASA, and another agency. And they did 14 clinical studies, 7 animal, 7 human. And they proved that his formula helped to protect from radiation exposure and repair DNA, biowarfare, and extreme stress. So the picture.
So that's like our world today.
I know, right? So the picture that I showed you, this one, was it was in January 14th of 2020. We sat down and I guess I inspired him because he created this, which is the microdaily EMF formula. And I have to tell you, so what he did was he took the original military formula and he added the appropriate MTHFR, folic acid, and B12. And then he added green tea to kind of stimulate. And then he added resveratrol, curcumin, and quercetin. And with those ingredients, I've seen some crazy stuff happening. So I've seen patients that were diabetic. We actually have a patent on this. But I've seen patients with A1Cs of 15 drop down to 5 in 2 months. But more importantly, and I did this study recently, and we're going to be doing it here in our clinic in the next couple of weeks. Heart rate variability is a very viable way for us to measure what's going on in the body. And I have a heart rate variability unit. And so I had this 80-year-old woman at my office, or actually at my house. And we tested her with the heart rate variability. And her overall rating was, let me see, I've got it right here. And yes, my phone is on airplane mode. So her overall health as an 80-year-old was 15%. Not cool.
So it should be 100 and hers was 15.
15%. So I gave her 3 of these and I had her chew them and put them under her tongue and let them dissolve. And then I had her watch a video and then I retested her. It was 24 minutes on the timeline. And what happened was she improved to 77% in 24 minutes. But what's really exciting, and I'm sorry I didn't give you these slides earlier, but what's really exciting is that her psycho-emotional state, which let's think about what's going on with our kids and stuff, people are getting more aggro. They're more aggravated and short-tempered than ever before. We see it on our roadways. We see it in the schools. One of the number one reasons for workers' comp in the schools are children beating up teachers.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
True story. True story. That's the number one injury is children attacking teachers. And the number one reason for an ER to be destroyed is teenage girls when they take away their phone. So we're just seeing these behaviors that we've never seen before. So her psycho-emotional state was 20%, and her delta brain pattern, which is a sleep pattern, this is brain asleep, brain not functioning, was 63%. And in 24 minutes, her brain improved to 76%, and that delta pattern dropped to 29%. But more importantly, she had a beta wave. Now, her beta wave, when we started the test, was 5%, and when we finished, it was 57%.
That's incredible.
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. And we're gonna do a trial with, I think, somewhere around 50 patients that we're gonna do, and we'll submit that. But see what happens. I mean, I know that this works because when I become functionally impaired, if I chew up a couple of these capsules, I'm all of a sudden back at it, and I'm good. I'm not going to do this because this bottle is brand new, and I can't do that. But I have Plan B in place. I always have Plan B. So this is a product, and you know what, folks? You can get mad at me for trying to sell. I'm not trying to sell. I'm trying to save you. Okay, I am trying to save you, and this is what I put in my body every single day. So it's dose dependent. You do 3 in the morning and 3 in the evening. The reason for that is so that it actually decreases the inflammation in your brain to carry you through the night so that your brain can recover. It's all about the brain, okay? It's not about the base. No, it's all about the brain, folks. All about the brain. And so
how late at night can we take that?
Sometimes I take it right before I go to sleep, but I also, because I'm sensitive to this, and okay, we'll miss you, Star. Thank you for being on the call.
Oh, she's back. She just got back.
So this is a product that I put in my body no matter what, and a lot of times, and my patients too, it's their emergency kit. They keep it on them all the time, and when they're starting to feel functionally impaired, then they pop a couple, chew them up, and swallow them, and within just a few minutes, they're feeling back to 100%. So I've never seen anything like this. I have never, ever, ever seen anything like this. And so this is the product that I take. And for anybody on this call, talk to Sheila. Okay, talk to Sheila. The other product that I really, really love is that the same company makes a CBD product. And what I'm finding is ugly mood swings. UMS. Forget PMS. It's UMS. And you never know when it's going to happen. You could just say, hey, how come somebody didn't do the dishes? And all hell breaks loose. Or you can say, why is the trash can so full? How come somebody didn't take the trash out? Who jammed this pizza box in the top of the trash can? And all hell breaks loose. It's like ugly mood swing central. And then it goes from there. And people's feelings get hurt. I mean, kids are getting hurt. Kids are struggling. Kids are really struggling. This has been a cuckoo time, and our kids are really, really struggling. So I don't have any problem giving this to my kids because we actually have cannabinoid receptors. Dr. Prasad, when he created this product, the owner of the company, there's only one owner of the company who was a venture capitalist named David Nemelka, and he actually had a venture capital business. He was a Wharton grad, and he created this company, and he's trying to help people all over the world. But he came to Dr. Prasad and he's like, hey, what do you know about CBD? And Dr. Prasad's like, I don't know anything about CBD, but give me a couple of months and I'll figure it out. So he spent 6 months researching CBD and the cannabinoid receptors in the brain. And it turns out that we have antioxidant receptors and cannabinoid receptors. And I'm not the expert on this, but you get to talk to her, Jet. But what I do know is that as we get older, our cannabinoid receptors don't stay full. And so this is like a really great product. I have people call these their happy pills, their sleepy pills. Take a couple at night to get restorative sleep. Take them when you're aggro. I mean, I got to tell you, when I become overwhelmed, I can go from zero to jerk in a heartbeat. And we're seeing this all over the world. Okay, last product. And it's perfect because this one's open. I took it from the corners of the office. Now this is really cool. And I'm going to take a little extra because I'm feeling a little
I have to try that one. I have them. I just haven't opened it.
So this is the children's EMF formula. Okay. Why? Because a child is not a half an adult. Okay. And if you put this up against a child's head, you know, our children are getting phones at 4 or 5 years old, things like that.
Yeah.
When we put this against their head, the radiation goes all the way through their cabeza, right through the coconut. And a child, I mean, they're so small, their brains are just completely destroyed by this thing. And then we have our kids go to school and our kids sit with their laptop on their lap. Sheila, did you know that a half an hour for a dude, I'm always talking about the dude, a half an hour with a laptop on your lap kills 25% of your sperm. So our children grow up with laptops on their laps and phones in their laps.
It's like we're unwittingly depopulating our planet.
So,
oh my gosh.
So it took us a long time to get Dr. Prasad to make this product. And the reason it took us a long time is because Dr. Prasad does not skimp and he will not bend. So he created the product, the basis of the military formula. And then he went through and he strategically found out what exactly does a kid need to have optimum nutrition. And then he looked at all the other companies out there and he found out that none of them met the requirements. I mean, it was like flabbergasted.
So are you talking about like the supplements you can buy at the grocery store or Fred Meyer's or whatever? Okay. Wow. So it's all crap.
It's all just candy. So
why am I surprised? Why am I surprised?
I don't know.
Why am I in this shocked moment? I don't know.
So we've been talking to him for years about creating a gummy. I had no idea how hard it is to create a gummy. These little buggers are tough. And the reason they're so tough is because Dr. Prasad would not allow the formula to be heated over 110 degrees. And you have to heat gummies over that. So we had to find it took us years. We had to find a company that was willing to make the product in the way that Dr. Prasad wanted the product made. And this really cool story, these actually have to dry in a rack. They can't be dried. They have to dry in the air in a rack for like 24 hours to create this gummy. Now, this is the morning dose for a kid, right? And then they take it again in the afternoon. And what's cool about it, well, it tastes pretty good. They're not an adult formula, but it's good enough that it's going to work for me to get my brain back up and running where I needed it to run. So we have
like a Kickstarter,
kind of like a boost.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So
okay.
This is really, really simple. And you know, I'm an adult, so I have to take a little bit more, which too bad. It's not my bottle, so I'm going to do it. But doors closed. I don't know what's happening behind closed doors. So this is a really great way to get nutrients into a kid, and they taste good. They taste like a little lemon drop. Um, what's good about this is that it's not a half an adult dose. It is designed specifically for children. It's not designed for adults. Will it work for me to bring my brain back? Yeah, I'll be fine in just a few minutes. You'll see me I'll be like, ooh, I'm feeling better.
Oh, perk up.
It's going to take a few of them, but it's designed for children. This is designed for adults. This is designed for children. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen, a company that goes to such lengths to protect us. And what's the biggest bee in the room? It's EMF. It's the electromagnetic fields. It's all the things that are around us on a continuous basis. We can't see them. We can't touch them. We can't taste them. We can't hear them.
Mm-mm.
Me and 100 million other people
Can
can
feel
feel
them.
them. You know what? If you're honest with yourself, I've seen some people on here that are like, dude, man, I hate this thing. It makes me feel terrible. I feel fried today. I'm seeing that. Joe, love that. Why fried? Do we have a solution? We do. And it's not one thing, okay? It's not one pill. It's not one potion. It's not one rock in your pocket. It's not. You have to take control of your life in the environment that you're in. And if you
That's
don't,
right.
now, there's going to be a price to pay. And we're seeing that. I'm seeing cataracts in children. I'm seeing, where the glioblastoma used to be an old man disease, old woman disease. And it was like in the 60s and 70s. Now we're seeing it in 30-year-olds.
And what is that?
That's a brain tumor associated with the radiation in your head. It's not survivable so far. I haven't really seen anybody survive from it, but we've lost a lot of people. The other thing, and this is where we should wrap it up probably because we've been on here. It's been so fun. Oh, it's been a blast.
I could talk to you forever.
So one of the things that we see with this thing is there's a thing called rouleau. And what rouleau is when we take live blood analysis and we put a phone near it and Wi-Fi, it actually causes the red blood cells to clump together and then stack on top of each other like a Pez container. This is a real problem because they become less efficient. And that's kind of where we start to see these hypoxic events in the brain. Well, there's a certain virus out there that also is affected by creating thick surfactants in the lungs. And it's actually made worse with cellular and Wi-Fi. So we get thick blood when we're got it against our head or our heart, our brain. Bad idea. And then if we get sick, and what do sick people do? What do they do when they're feeling like crap? They sit in their bed with their laptop on their lap, and they sit there with their phone in their hand, and they just surf the vortexes, okay, in Wi-Fi.
Right.
So if you get sick, here's part of my recipe. You got to get a hold of us for the rest of the recipe, but you get this, and I'll give you the dosages that I tell people. It's not 6 a day,
Right.
times 2 at least, and every couple of hours. Only water. That's it. And shut all the electronics off, all the Wi-Fi, everything. Unplug everything around you, and rest. And I mean, there's some other things that you can do as well, but you got to put the stuff in your body so that your body can fight it, and you've got to not put the things that are causing the thickening of the blood and so forth, because you don't stand a chance. And then if you do, and I'll probably get in trouble for it, but think about the hospital for a second. It's kind of like the Hotel California, you can never leave, right? And I used to work there, so I'm kind of doing this a little bit of tongue in cheek. You can come, but you can never leave. But honestly, if you think about it, you're sick, and we discussed the rouleau, and you're laying in an electric bed.
Oh,
And then
yeah, with everything
all
around
the
you.
electric stuff around you, right? And you're hooked up to all kinds of electric stuff.
And it's just compounding it.
What do we know about the electric chair? It always worked.
It always worked.
It always worked. And, I defibrillated a lot of people in my career. And, I can tell you it's time. If you don't get there in time, you're not going to save them. And
Right.
if you defibrillate somebody and somebody's touching the gurney or something, that's not cool. That's not a good day. We know that electricity works. Watch that cop show where they tase people. If you tase somebody, what is that? That's electricity. Good bad cops, good
Oh, yeah. I'm like, what?
cops, good
I
cops. I
watched that
forget what it
crap.
is. I don't watch that stuff either. But if you watch somebody get tased, what do they do? And then they fall down.
They're seizing.
It's the amount of electricity that you're exposed to over the longest periods of time.
Wow.
Keep it simple.
So,
Time, distance, and shield. Keep it simple.
Wilma Lister, she asked if these are available on your website. And I believe she's talking about the micro daily nutrient. If you want, Wilma, I would be happy to send you anybody that's interested. DM me, private message me, okay? Comment in the chat comment that you would like information, and I will get you information, because it's like Dr. Kort said, we are here to save people. That's my mission. That's one of the reasons I'm good friends with Dr. Kort, is because we have the same heart about saving humanity. We want everybody to be able to enjoy this planet and live on it in love and in health, right?
No, I'm nobody's savior. Okay, so here's the bottom line. Yeah.
Okay, not a savior. That's true.
Contact Sheila. Okay, it's really, really important. She can send you out a sample. If you want a sample, she can send you out a sample. And if you want to order it, you can order it directly from Sheila. She'll get you taken care of. I get enough on my plate with that, but get it from Sheila. She will help you. And, we'll do more of these calls because I just adore you. I think you're awesome.
And right back at you.
Trying to earn some more eggs. But listen, I'm not a savior. I'm not a guru. Okay. I'm a guide. And
that's right.
My spirits have told me to heal humanity, but it's very important that you go back to Socrates. And Socrates said, before someone asks you to heal them, ask them what they're willing to give up that's making them sick in the first place.
That's right.
So the only way that the strategies that I do work, and you'll see when you go to the website, there's a video on Ryan, who was an electrician. Ain't that interesting? Who spent 14 months bedridden, and came to me with a 65-year-old demented brain and couldn't walk. And in 2 days he walked, and in 1 week he had a 24-year-old, I think it was a 34-year-old brain. In one week, at the end of a month, he had a 24-year-old brain, and now he's part of my team. And he's bike riding and doing all the things. He's back. He's got his family, but he spent 5 years suffering. No one could figure out what's wrong with him. But the reason that Ryan got better was because, the first thing I said to him was, look, don't ask me to get you better if you're not willing to give up things that are making you sick. I'm not your savior. I am your guide. And when we look at, Pinnacle Health, it's a journey. And when we look at the journey, it's like looking at an iceberg. And so the iceberg, we flip the iceberg over and we look at everything that was under the water now as a mountain that we go up. Doctors, for the most part, look at the top of the iceberg and go, okay, tell me what's wrong with you. We have lots of very, very specific labs that we look at. We turn over every stone. We have special tests that measure, different things with your hair and so forth. And we just don't stop. We don't stop. When you dedicate to getting well and really want to take control of it, we're your team. And we have lots of things that you could do. Not everybody can afford to come to me. That's just the bottom line. And not everybody can afford to get to me. But we have lots of things that we can do to help people through telehealth. And you, Sheila, are empowered now with this product so that you can help people. And I'm just I'm grateful, so grateful that it's not all on me, that I have you now to help me with this. So thank you.
You know what? We have the same message. And you were kind enough to talk about my eggs earlier. And
I love that.
I, for years, Dr. Kort, literally for years, have been, I mean, it makes me want to cry. I have been praying to find a doctor with my same thoughts and goals to help heal humanity, to help heal the people that wish to be healed. Because you're right, not everybody wants to. It's called secondary gain. And secondary gain is, what am I getting out of being sick? Well, there's a lot of different things that we do get when we are being coddled, taken care of, et cetera, et cetera. But there comes a point where you have to choose to be responsible for yourself. That's taking cause for your own life. And I'm here to help support you and the people that want to take charge of their own life and be at cause and be happy and healthy. That's where I'm at. So I want to say thank you. I look forward to more calls with you in the future. And I just love you and your sense of humor, and give Jed a big hug and kiss for me. And I'm going to let you go. You are a busy man, and I thank you for these extra 46 minutes that you gave me. So mahalo.
Mahalo. It is my pleasure, and I'm grateful. I'm very grateful that you're in my life and on this timeline. And, we don't know what's going to happen, but we know that we're in times that we've never seen before, and we need to do everything we can to try and help those who want to be helped and those who are around us. And so this is where we start. We got to put good things in our body. We need to do time, distance, and shielding. And like I said, you can always go to the website, do the free discovery call, talk to Jet. She's amazing, brilliant. And we'll just help you. We'll be your guides on every step of the way. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And be
You
well.
as well. Bye-bye. And so I'm going to try and figure out how to get out of this space. I guess I hit end broadcast over here. Okay, there it is. Thanks, everybody. Mahalo. And remember, live in love, come from your heart, and experience peace. Ciao, meow, everybody.